Exactly. I am a woman. I can be anything I want to be. That is the message in the song by Emmy Maley. And you listen to that right here on the station that loves music and loves life. We are Smooth 98.1. Right now, it's 4 minutes past 11 o'clock. It's a Wednesday. And what happens on Wednesdays from 11 till 11:50 is a discussion about women. And we call the show Soul Sisters. You're very welcome to be a part of the conversation for the next, let's say, 46 minutes. And we do have a very important conversation this morning with a very important and special guest. Now, here are a number of ways that you can be a part of the show. You've got the WhatsApp line, there is a call line. We're streaming live on YouTube, and you can also listen live via any radio app or any radio website that allows you to listen to us anywhere. Simply search for Smooth 91 FM Lagos. Again, Smooth 91 FM Lagos. And if you go to our YouTube page, that is at Smooth 91 FM Lagos. That's the channel that you should subscribe to, by the way, so that you get a notification whenever we go live. My name is Oluwaseun, and I bid you welcome to this episode of Soul Sisters, this 3rd of July 2024. We're talking about moving up the space, or moving up in the corporate space as a woman. So yes, we know what is obtainable generally, but as a woman, what are the hurdles? What are the pitfalls? What are the mentalities that can even hold you back from climbing up the career ladder in the corporate world? Because these days we need more female leaders, and the number keeps saying that we don't have enough in the workspace. So is it possible that the women are sabotaging themselves, or is it that there were lots of things that have been ingrained in them that are holding them back? So we just want to break this down. And my guest is someone who has been able to navigate that space successfully. She's an experienced technology professional with a background in computer and information science, and she started a career actually with a furniture management company, and she's risen up the ranks. And currently, she's the founder of an ed tech company, which is Techops Nigeria. So please welcome with me, Ifunanya Moneke. Good morning.
Good morning, Oluwaseun. Morning.
Thank you for joining me. And I should mention that she took time out now. This is not just any kind of time. Literally the wee hours of the morning where she is, because she's not in this climb. And thank God again for the wizardry of technology that allows us to connect from wherever in the world. So she's literally waking up so early just to be a part of this conversation. And I do not take that for granted. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. So it's for context, it's 4 a.m. in Canada, and it's really early, but I was so happy about the opportunity to just speak about my experience. I'm always glad to share my insights and the little knowledge that I've gained over the last 12 years as being a woman in tech. And yeah, always happy for the opportunity, and thank you for having me.
And it's always a delight to have a chat with Texies because there is something about them. Whenever I say Texies, for the lack of a better word, I say fighter because to my assumption or to the best of my knowledge, the tech world is male dominated. So for you to be a Texas who's doing well, recognized, and gets in your flowers, I think you have had to fight for that. So it's always inspiring to come across Texas.
Yes,
Now,
and it definitely has been a journey. I talk about, I tell my mentees and people that I'm close to that 12 years ago, it wasn't even a cool thing. It was just, there wasn't even a name like Texas. And so imagine navigating and being in the space that early on. Definitely a very interesting journey. That's how I'll put it.
and I cannot wait to dig into that journey with you today as you talk about navigating the corporate space and rising up the ladder. But before then, I came across your tweets, and that was as a result of the viral Minister of Parliament Million Diabo video where she referenced the book. And you mentioned in that tweet that you read the book and it changed your life. First of all, the book is titled Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office. How did you come across it? What were some of the things that you got from it?
Yes. So, okay, let's take a short trip down memory lane. Imagine, Me in my early 20s, just finishing university, getting an opportunity to join a Fortune 500 company that interned in when I was in university. So I was joining again as a graduate. And I was at the grocery store buying, food for the week or whatever. And I came across this book at the store. So they had a book section. And immediately I saw the title, I was intrigued. Immediately piqued my interest, and I was like, okay, this is such an interesting book. I hope it looks like something I would learn from. So I bought the book myself, and I said, okay, let me go read about it. All I can say is the next couple of days were jarring. It says 101 unconscious mistakes that women make to sabotage their career. And yes, there were 101 mistakes. It covered so many things that we weren't taught. Nobody was having those conversations about, even little things as how you dress in the workplace, how you speak, how you're perceived, how you act. How you network or play the politics. It covered literally every single thing. And every time I would see some bits of it and I'd be like, oh my God, I've been doing that. Oh my God. So it was really, really a vulnerable place to be, to say, you know what, I want to learn. I'm fresh out of university. In Nigeria, people do not talk about what you should do especially as a woman, to be able to navigate the space. So I felt like I armed myself with the book. I went into the office and I started to practice a lot of things. The thing about the book is it's very practical. So for every mistake, you'd have coaching tips. Or you shouldn't do this. This is what you should do instead. So it was really easy, but challenging as a woman. If you know anything about being a woman, and I'm sure you can relate to it, it's not the easiest to face, the behaviors that you've been born with as an African woman, and start to implement the mitigations or the corrections to make your career a little bit more, like, to take hold of it, and to be more conscious about these things. But it had every single practical step to be able to navigate, and I felt like, oh, I was armed, and I was able to, start to take my career by myself in my hands, and actually stop doing a lot of the things that I was doing to sabotage myself.
Sure, we're going to have a long list of some of those things you had to stop doing, or even had to introspect. You had to look at yourself and dig out those things. And
Of
we will
course.
talk about the best practices. Now, if you're joining us for the first time, you're listening to Soul Sisters on Smooth 98.1. And I always tell you that it's the show for the women, by the women, but the men are not left out, because women do not exist in isolation. And sometimes many of the issues that women face as a result of miseducation and ignorance. So everybody needs to be educated. Mentalities need to change. So please, soul brothers, as always, take a seat while we have this conversation with Ifunanya Moneke. You're listening to Smooth 98.1. So we've got an ad break, just 1 minute, we'll be back. And then
Okay.
so I would want to ask you what your definition of nice girls means in the context. And we talk about how the line good girl no they pay, what it means. And from there we go on to your career experience, some of the things you had to learn, and then what the tech and corporate world holds for women.
Cool.
Whose world is it? This is a woman. Let's talk about the woman.
Women make up more than half of the world's population and potential.
Every woman has got a story to tell. A story about her journey to being a shield against all odds.
That is the fuel to my fire, to make a difference in as many children's lives as I could.
Smooth 98.1 presents Soul Sisters, a discourse on the woman.
Why there's so much resistance to the conversations around feminism.
Soul Sisters, now on Smooth 98.1, every Wednesday from 11 a.m.
Hi, my name is Richard Dominic, and this is Smooth 98.1.
And she's telling you to keep listening to Smooth 98.1. This is Soul Sisters, and thank you for being there. Today, we're talking about how to move up the ladder when you're in the corporate space as a woman. My name is Oluwaseun, and my guest is the founder of Techops. She's a tech sis, a tech professional. She's into a lot of things. Merge the corporate space with leadership, with management, and also education. And you would find her there. She is Ifunanya Moneke, and you can join us on YouTube. That is youtube.com/smooth 91 FM. Now, before the breather, we were talking about the book Nice Girls Don't Get a Corner Office, which inspired a number of things I've done. But I'd like to get to the definition of what nice girl is. Why? Because again, referencing the video by Millie Odambo, that's from Kenya, where she said, Mr. Speaker or Madam Speaker, you're telling me to be a role model to the girls these days, but I can tell you that this girls, or rather being a nice girl, won't get you the corner office. I'm a bad girl. That's why I got elected 4 times into the parliament. So what's your take on the tag nice girl or good girl?
I think it's just realizing that the stereotypical woman is supposed to say what they're told, do as they're told, fit into a mold. And that is not the best advice to give a woman anywhere around the world, not just an African woman, but especially an African woman. We're socialized to speak a certain way, take up as much space as we are given, not raise up our hands if we had an opposing view, not challenge the status quo. And that is what a nice girl typically is. Honorable Millie was put it very, very bluntly and very clearly that doesn't really get you anywhere. It doesn't get you the corner office. It doesn't help you to get to your full potential. It doesn't let you to be the force that you are, the force that when you come into a room, your opinions are heard. It doesn't mean you have to be, in quotes, bitchy. It doesn't mean you have to be nasty, but it means if you have something to say, if you have an opinion, if you your voice is heard as anybody else in the room, as any man in the room, it means that you can take up space. You do not need to shrink and just perform in a way that is palatable for everyone else, to be modest, to be quiet, to not speak up, to not have opposing views of fear because of the fear of being called abrasive or all that. So a nice girl is a stereotypical woman who is, her place is at home, or her place is to support and not to lead or not to champion. A nice girl is, well, let me, administrative, or all those words that we use that can be offensive. You have a woman who's in a boardroom and everybody's thinking, oh, maybe she's a secretary, or those sort of biases. That's the type of nice girl we don't want to be, especially in the workplace. We want to be seen as leaders, as presidents, as people who take up space in parliament, are vocal, have something to say and to share, and are making a difference. And that's how we want to be perceived.
Now, you have held positions within the manufacturing industry, oil and gas, insurance, healthcare, fintech, and not to mention the tech industry itself. So how has it been navigating and, coming to where you are now? How has it been being either a nice girl or in Honorable Millie's voice, a bad girl, or being in the balance of both?
I think the first thing is I always tell people I've been really lucky. Very early on in my career, I had a mentor. He's male, but I had someone say, I think he even recognized some of the stereotypical or the unconscious mistakes I was making without the book. So I was really lucky to have someone very early on. I'm saying as early as 12 years ago, handhold me and also help me to navigate my career. And that's why I'm very, very keen on mentorship, especially for women. There's no year that I do not have a mentee, even as busy as my schedule is. I always want to be able to give back. So I think I see myself as really privileged because I did have that career steering. I also came across that book 12 years ago, right? And the opportunity to be able to read those sort of things and learn from someone who I really respect has been life changing and life saving. However, it didn't come without its challenges. Like I said, having to face those fears of not being, like typical women were always worried about, oh God, if I say this, nobody's going to like me, having to face those fears and those vulnerabilities. Well, this is a bias, even though I'm a Christian or I'm socialized to think this doesn't apply in the workplace. Having to drop all those little, things I carried along as a young woman as a young Nigerian woman is really important that I add that context because it's really key and the nuance of it all. So going into the office, speaking up a lot more, raising my hand in meetings when I could just be in the background and say, well, if I'm just quiet, I don't want to sound stupid. I don't want to say anything that, that will make me sound stupid. No, pushing myself, raising my hand up to volunteer for really complex projects. The book talks a lot about networking, about, understanding office politics. As women, we say, no, I just want to do the job. I want to be perfect at it. Someone will notice me at some point and I'll get the recognition I deserve. That never works. So having those uncomfortable bits and learnings and coaching tips from the book, putting it into practice, while still navigating a pretty sometimes misogynistic, if we're being honest, field. Especially as a woman in tech, you're told you're not technical enough. No matter how hard you try as a typical, and I'm saying it's a lot better now, but 10, 12 years ago, as technical as you could be, there's some other guy telling you, well, you don't know how to do this well enough. I'm a project manager now, and I've worked in business analysis and service delivery. But when I started my career, I was in proper tech, to use the word. I was doing networking, end user computing. I was doing all the, not soft tech, the hard tech bits. So that required a lot of heavy lifting, and it required having to prove myself twice as hard as my male peers. It required me sometimes even say, no, I can work on the weekend, it's fine. Everyone else is working. Don't single me out and think I need time on the weekend. No, I'm ready to work like everyone else. So sometimes having to work twice as hard or just as hard so that you're recognized for the same work, having to justify why, I also enjoy project management. I don't have to only enjoy the networking and, the database and all the other software engineering parts. Having to always explain myself, always have a reason for why I'm doing this and all that. And then just being the only one in a team, the only woman in a team, and looking around the room and you're the only woman here and everyone else is a man. So that can be sometimes, just uncomfortable, and it is improving. I'm happy for my girlies. 10 years ago, I always say it wasn't as people weren't as aware. A lot of things could fly, even just men being inappropriate, even if it's a subtle remark or, just being inappropriate in general was more commonplace than it is now. So things are improving. Are we there yet? No. Was it a struggle as a young woman in tech? 100% no. But I think it has made the story unique. It's made me have the perspective to be able to share with other women that are, thinking of going into tech or already in tech. And it's given me definitely a very interesting perspective to share. And yeah, here we are.
Interesting journey. But I'm curious, how much of a support did you receive from other women, the few women in tech when you started and maybe along the journey?
Oh, I definitely have been very lucky. My first manager, the person who gave me the opportunity at the Fortune 500 company as a 300 level computer and information science undergraduate, was a woman. I did the interview, my first interview in my life, and she gave me the opportunity on the spot. She said, "You know what? Come and intern with us. I think you have the skills that we need." She was very vocal in rooms, telling everyone, yeah, Ifunanya is amazing. She'll give me work to do, and I would think, oh, let me just hand over the work as preparation for a meeting. She'd say, no, have a seat, sit there, and I would be surrounded by heads, regional heads of departments, and she'd tell everyone, oh, this process flow we're working on, if Naya prepared it, and to get that sort of like support, very very vocal support early on in my career. Like I said, I feel like I've been really lucky. I've been surrounded by people, women and people who have said, you know what, we want to enable you, we want to support you, we want to advocate for you. She was the same person that said, you know what, if you can come and do your NYC year here, find your way back here, there's a space open for you. And so she was very supportive throughout my career. All the women that I have reported to or have been on very senior leadership positions have been very vocal about wanting to enable me, been giving wonderful feedback, and just supported me throughout my journey. So I have had it really, really good career-wise. Yeah.
That's good. All right then. So take a breather, and when we come back, we'll try to understand or help someone, a young aspiring techie, understand what she needs to know before she gets into the tech space. And then we go into uncovering those unconscious bias and those mentalities that might be holding a lady back in climbing up the career ladder, not just in the tech space, but generally in the corporate space, so she can get a corner office. You're listening to Soul Sisters on Smooth 98.1.
Hi, my name is Vivi. You're listening to Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life.
But do you ever get into conversation sometimes and you share your story and it feels like, oh, we can't, oh, you don't understand what I have gone through?
Of course. Of course. I definitely do.
How do you help them to bridge it while still telling them what they ought to know?
I think it's just having honest conversations and sharing a lot of things in the book, for instance, and helping them navigate it, having those honest conversations, helping them navigate through what they're going through. My experience doesn't negate the fact that people have had it a lot worse.
Yeah.
And so yeah, just being supportive, listening, and supporting them through it.
The world of football. It starts every game, every tackle, every goal, and every win. The total football experience right here on Smooth 98.1. Thursdays at 7 p.m. and Saturday at 11 a.m. This is a stimulus decision. Football. The total experience. Now that was by design.
My name is Zainab Balogo, and you are listening to Smooth 98.1, your love music, love life station.
This is Smooth 98.1, and this is Soul Sisters. 27 minutes past 11 o'clock. We are talking about how to move up the space, move up the ladder in the corporate space as a woman. And you can join us on YouTube. That is at Smooth 91 FM Lagos. My guest is Ifunanya Moneke, and yeah, she's a Texas in every sense of the word. So now, if you have any question, maybe you've been listening in the course of the conversation. If you have any question, WhatsApp line is open for us to take your question. Or if you have a contribution or maybe your own experience, you can share with us on WhatsApp. That is 0809 444 0981. Again, 0809 444 0981. Please include your name, especially if you're sending a message for the first time. Now back to you, Ifunanya. For someone who has listened and thought, well, okay, you've had it so lucky, and so the journey has been smooth for you. But from where I am, I don't have a woman who's speaking up so loudly for me and somebody who's just having my back all the time and keeping me from the sharks. What do I do? How do I navigate the waters?
So yeah, even though it's even though how I've described it is maybe 10% of the journey, and I've described it in a, oh yeah, it's been rosy. It hasn't. It hasn't been, because even if you have advocates, you have to advocate for yourself. And I think that's one key thing about the book. It talks about having to fight for yourself, speak up for yourself, gain the confidence that you need to be able to not just let someone else mold your career, enter into rooms, speak up. I always talk about entering into rooms because I can imagine that so many of our listeners, especially women, dread things like meetings. Oh my God, what am I going to say in that meeting? Oh my God, I'm going to sound XYZ, etc., etc. But it's just being aware of those mistakes, fears, whatever we want to call it, biases, and having a plan as to how to chart forward. I recommend the book to everyone I have ever mentored. And when I tweeted about the book and it went mini viral, one of my mentees said, yes, my mentor has been telling me about this book as early as 5, 6 years ago, because it literally has almost every mistake that a woman would make in the workplace and how to, practical actions be able to solve that. So yeah, it's recognizing, having honest conversations with yourself, yeah, and saying, yeah, these are the things that I need to do, or these are the things I'm doing and I'm failing at it, or I can just be better at it. Is looking for advocates within organizations. I talked about two people in the organization that were very, very vocal about how outstanding I was. And me being an undergraduate at that time, I was like, me? Really? So seeking out people within the organization, they could be, hopefully they're women that you've noticed have attributes that you admire. And if there's no woman in the organization, you should be able to find an ally who is a man who you can go to. Do not go to him as a father figure or anything. You have to take those. That's a unconscious bias as well. Don't make the men in the organization or the women in the organization mother or father figures. No, it's a workplace. Yeah. But go to them and tell them, hey, I'm trying to navigate this space. I would really appreciate you to mentor me. Or have it more structured, because when people do come to me for mentorship, I want to know that you've done some work, you've understood, the space you're working in, what challenges you're having, so I can actually help you to work on, those specific behaviors or challenges that you have. So do some introspective work is really key. Use self-help books like this book, Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office. Listen to podcasts. Look for a network of women. There are so many networks now, thankfully, where there's someone who has a similar experience as you. Having peer reviews or having peer support is really key. A network of women who are in a similar age, a similar career, or just, having similar views and things like that is really helpful. So equip yourself with as much as you can. If you can't find anyone to help yourself. Be conscious about the bits that you need to improve on. And also extend some grace to yourself. As women, we tend to be really hard on ourselves. We come out of a meeting, and I was speaking to a director about a year ago, and this is someone who I really used to look up to, and I still look up to her, obviously. But we're at a women network, and she was telling everyone else that, oh my God, there are times I go out to a meeting and I want to cry, and I'm just like playing back what I said. And I was like, wow, this is a director, a senior director, having the type of struggles that I'm having. Who am I not to feel this way? So just recognizing that a lot of us are navigating. I've been at this for 12 years. Do I still have some bits where I come out of a meeting like, oh my God, I should have said this? Yes, it's okay to feel like that. But removing the shame and all the feelings of, oh, I'm not good enough, separating that and being able to, okay, yes, I can improve on this, but I'm actually very good at this. Well done to myself, clapping for yourself and advocating for yourself as much as you can, and just trying as much as possible and sticking to the journey and knowing that, yes, I'm a work in progress and that's okay. And I'm going to continue to see through to the end. And so these are my tidbits and advice.
Thank you. I would want us to dig deeper, especially still on the point of advocating for yourself. It's been said many times that women, a lot of women, might not be older women, they have issues with receiving compliments and accepting compliments. When somebody says, oh, you look good, they say, oh, really? I've had this dress for 10 years. What's your take? What's your experience? Do you struggle with that? How did you deal with that?
I used to struggle with that very, let's say, 15-ish years ago. Um, you know, being told, oh, you're really good at this. Like I was describing that I prepped for my manager for a meeting and I prepped all the documents and all that. And I was still sat in a room and she was saying, yeah, if I put all this together, and I was still like, oh my God, that's me. And it's that awkwardness where you're thinking, oh, should I look a certain way? Should I be humble? It's that humility that we're sold as women. Oh no, let me just not look like I'm enjoying this. No, you have to toot your own horn. You have to I advise my mentees, you know what? If you have a manager who isn't having regular catch up, schedule that catch up in their diary and tell them what you've done this week. You have to advocate yourself for yourself harder than anyone else. You have to, there's so many advice that you see on the internet. Have a book where you're writing everything you've achieved, or have an email where you're documenting all the work you've done, and at the end of the year, send it to your manager. All those sorts of things, no matter the different styles that you can use, but the end goal is to speak up, recognize the things that you're doing, but it's not just okay for you to do it and get an accolade and say, oh yeah, I'm doing well. No, toot your horn in that weekly meeting where everyone is saying, oh, any other business, say, yeah, I've just implemented XYZ, or I've just solved the XYZ problem. And don't be uncomfortable or don't be shy about sharing that. Speak for yourself, advocate for yourself, and take the compliments. Sis, when you're great, when someone says, oh, you've done an amazing job, say thank you. And say, yeah, this was difficult and this is how I did it. Or, yeah, I want to do more things like this. And just speak up and take space. That's one of my best taglines. You know what? Don't shrink, take up space. Let people know that you're in a room as much as you can.
Don't shrink, take up space. Very interesting. All right, so let's get to the basics, or that rather some specifics of the book. And one of the mistakes she mentioned in the book is overlooking the importance of mentors and sponsors advocates. I believe it's something you've gone on and on about in this, and you've told us your story. So if a person, no, two questions wrapped in one, someone who's trying to climb up in the space, what should they look out for when they are choosing mentors? Do you wait for your mentor to spot you, or you have to go in search of your mentor? What should you have at the back of your mind when you are mentor shopping, if there is a word like that?
Yeah. It depends. There are different ways. For some people, it happens that someone else comes to you and says, "Hey, I've noticed, or I saw you give this presentation. Let me give you some tips and tricks on how to be better," and that can spur a mentorship relationship. For other people, you actively go and seek a mentor. I do have a caveat for that. I know that everyone is looking for someone to handhold them, but like I said, you need to do the work. You need to understand that a lot of it is still based on you putting it into practice and you recognizing where you need the improvements and all of that. But yeah, when you're shopping for a mentor, you have to look at someone who inspires you. They have to be someone who you think they've made, they have a remarkable career, whatever that looks like to you. They are honest, transparent, they have integrity. They're someone who would advocate for you. Is really important that when you're outside of the room, someone is saying, yeah, Ifunanya or Oluwaseun is amazing and I think she'll do great at this. And you need to seek someone who has really good values. Doesn't have to be your values, your upbringing and things like that. No, it's values that you can emulate in the workplace. Their leadership style is welcoming. You know that there's someone you can actually be open and honest with. There's no point getting someone who you cannot share your real struggles and you're just posturing or trying to look a certain way. You have to be able to be vulnerable with them and tell them, yeah, this is my challenges, and you trust that they would help you through that. So yeah, so definitely, woman, man, just make sure that they are people that you can emulate and they're willing to help. It has to be a two-way street.
Thank you. If you're joining us for the first time, this is Soul Sisters on Smooth 98.1, and we are discussing right now some of those mentalities and those ideas that you have in your mind or head that are holding you back from doing way better than you're already doing in your career path. And we are talking about some of the lessons from the book. Nice girls don't get the corner office. Now, after this, I'd like to come back to some of those mistakes that she said. And one striking one of it is letting people waste your time. It's how she said it, that it's like women have that sign on their head that says, please waste my time. Because there is a social expectation that as a woman, when somebody comes to you, you have to drop everything because you're a nurturer, you care about others, you have the listening ear. So that's what, and then when we also come back, we talk about more of the mistakes that you might be making unconsciously that are holding you back from doing better in your field. This is Soul Sisters.
This is your girl, Ufoma McDermott, and you're listening to
I
Smooth
think I found that one very
98.1
interesting about time wasting
Music.
because I didn't even think about that. Because it's just natural with you. You just want to help. You just want to be there for
Yeah, fix everyone, solve problems.
The royal line of succession is in question. House Targaryen is divided, and all must choose to bend the knee to their king or queen.
Don't miss the show everyone will be talking about. Streaming every Monday on Showmax. Sign up now from 1,200 Naira to access all our entertainment. Showmax, streaming for Africa.
My name is Gloria Anazia Young, and you're tuned to Smooth 98.1. Stay tuned.
Yep, you have to keep listening to Smooth 98.1. 41 minutes past 11 o'clock. We're almost at the end of today's conversation, and I hope that you've gotten so much from it. As a man, as a woman, it's Soul Sisters on Smooth 98.1. And you're welcome to ask any question if you WhatsApp line is 0809 444 And if you have any contribution, the line is the same 0809 444 So back to that point on time wasting about women having the sign on their forehead that says, waste my time. I'm here for you. You're important. I can drop everything and come running. Super true. Did you have any struggle with that or how?
Yeah, definitely. It's that whole wanting to fix everything and problem solve everything. It can be both a blessing and a curse. Some problem solving skills help you to be able to navigate the workspace because you're thinking on your feet and you're solving. But when someone is bringing a problem that has nothing to do with your job description or nothing to do with you, but you still, oh, let me just listen to him or her. I don't want to be rude. I don't want to cut them off. But let me see if I can help them. Yeah, you need to be able to say, excuse me, no, I empathize with you, but yeah, I don't think I have the capacity or the skill set to be able to help you with this. How about you try, talking to XYZ person and just knowing when to nip it in the bud, so to speak, and remove yourself from the conversation and not want to fix everything or help everyone. It's really crucial.
And that sounds to me like you are going to be removing the nice girl tag when you're not nice to everyone. And or you don't,
Exactly.
always that sounds like, no, you're not a nice person again.
Yeah, yeah. It's a delicate balance. Still being helpful and still being true to yourself, but also recognizing that certain behaviors enable certain stereotypes, and those stereotypes can harm your career eventually or right off the bat. So it's a delicate balance and a tricky one.
There's another about multitasking. She mentioned how multitasking, naturally, it has been said that women are very excellent at multitasking, but when you are climbing up, can sometimes make you function below par. So, did that apply to you, or what would you like to say
Yeah,
about?
of course, 100%. You want, and it always sometimes comes from having something to prove. As women, we always want to prove that we're the best at everything, and so we want to wear on 1 million hats. Jack of all trades, but master of none. I can do this as fast. She also talks about even neglecting your work-life balance, working on the weekends, slaving away night and day because you want to be the best at it. That's not working smart at all, and that's not being strategic. Um, Multitasking sometimes can be like a recipe for disaster because you're not focusing on one thing. You think, oh, I'll just balance all these balls in my hand, and I can just 5 more minutes, I will do all of this at once. No, it's saying, you know what, I'm prioritizing this and speaking up and advocating for yourself to say, I'm prioritizing this, I'm working on XYZ, this is the timeline to be able to finish it. Can you give me, is this urgent, or do I need to drop this other thing for this thing that you're giving to me? And how do you want me to prioritize this? But I cannot do all of this at once because I do not have the bandwidth for it. So those sort of really honest, or those sort of really confident ways to communicate your workload, your bandwidth, your value, your time is really, really key, and will save you a lot of problems in the future.
Another of the mistake is reluctance to negotiate. She
Oh, I cannot speak about this enough. I cannot speak about this enough because I'm always talking about this. That's all I can say. I'm always yapping about it. Every single where I go in the past couple of years, if I'm being honest. Early on in my career, I probably wasn't. I definitely wasn't. Every single where I go now, no matter what it is, no matter if you tell me this is set in stone, I'm going to negotiate something. Is it an extra thousands of dollars, pounds, whatever it is? Yes. Is it extra time in lieu? Is it to be able to work from home? There's always something to negotiate. And women, like, there's statistics to back this up. I don't have it at my fingertips, but there's so much data to say women are earning less because we're giving less and we're also asking for less. We're going into a room and we're saying, oh yeah, oh God, you're giving me 5 million. Oh, that's perfect. I can't believe I'm being offered this. It's just not recognizing the value that we have and not gaining as much confidence as our male counterparts. And feeling, there's also data to back that women will typically apply for a job that they feel that they are 90s or 100% ready for. Meanwhile, a man will be like, I have 65% of the skills or 80, I'm going for it. So it's that feeling of wanting to be perfect, not believing in ourselves enough, getting an offer and thinking, oh my God, I can't believe they're offering me this. And then you're finding out down the line that, yeah, your colleague is getting 20% more than you because he negotiated. So always negotiate any contract. It doesn't matter, even if you're not in the work, like a traditional workspace, you're in social media, you're whatever it is that you're doing, advocate for yourself by negotiating and asking for more. We tend to just want to be in that, they're giving me this space, I'm grateful for it. No, you can get a lot more if you just ask. And I don't know why, I still do not understand why it's such an uncomfortable conversation for women. Even I have to remind myself that, yeah, I'm going to walk into, giving me the offer. Thank you very much. But from my understanding of the industry and my experience over the last XYZ years and what I'm going to bring to you, I deserve to get XYZ more. It's such an uncomfortable conversation. I do not know why, if we're being honest, but it's one that even if you're going to, in Nigerian slang, bone face and do, it's one that you're going to literally just fake it till you make it and have that conversation and say, hey, you know what? I want more. And what's the worst that they can say? No, at least you tried. At least you're not going to find out 5 years down the line that, oh my God, that person was earning twice as much as I was. I wish I just asked. So half the time they don't say no. That's the funny thing. Half the time they're applauding the fact that you're bold enough and confident enough to ask. And yeah, 100%, every single job you get, I don't care where it is. I don't care if it was added into the advert that this is how much you're going to be paid. Still negotiate for something, whatever it is, stocks, shares, extra days of resuming a little later, whatever it is, more money, start with money. Financial independence is always really, really important. And then all the other things that matter to you, try and negotiate it, and most of the time you're going to get it.
Yep. Now, I think partly we can blame the imposter syndrome for that, why a number of women do not negotiate. And I think also it could have been linked to their negative experience or maybe the experience of someone else that they had. And this is why I said that. I remember coming across a tweet. I don't know if it was this year, and I don't know if it was very true or not, but the person mentioned how she was trying to negotiate for the pay at work, and it was a new space, and she placed her figures on the table, and the man said, what do you want to do with all this money? Are you not a woman? What?
Yeah. Yeah,
What?
it's sad. Yeah, it's sad. I've managed, oh God, I probably haven't talked about the time in my career, just maybe 3 years ago, where I managed all men. My team were 32 software engineers. I have, and I'm bringing this up because you'd have people even in HR tell you things that are not appropriate. I was having a difficult conversation with someone who I had to let go because of his behaviors. And the HR person in the room was saying, even if she, if Naya is a woman and you can't meet her, you can go to another male manager. And I was like, wow, yes. I have stories for days, but I don't want to I don't want to have to rehash every unconscious or conscious bias or derogatory or experience that I've had. You would be in rooms and you'd be shocked at what you're hearing in professional settings. So 100%, I can relate to someone saying, "But you're a single woman. Why do you need all of this money?" There's cadres to it. There's woman, there's single woman, there is young woman. There's so much, and you hear it, and it's normalized to say something like that to a woman, and people expect you to smile and to take that, as banter or just normal. It's not normal. We need to stop normalizing these sort of things. While the onus is on us as women to reject that, the onus is on leaders, men, people in the spaces that are supposed to be responsible leaders to not say things like that. It's not okay. So yeah, it makes it a lot more complex because you're learning and you're doing so much better, but the odds are so stacked against you because you're coming to the workplace and someone is telling you why you're negotiating your salary because you're a woman. So it's challenging, but we still need to speak up and say, yeah, I'm a woman, but this is what I'm asking for, and it's a take it or leave it situation. Thank you very much. You also can glean from some sort of conversation whether this is a workplace you want to be in. I always ask when a mentee of mine says, "Oh, I had this wonderful interview," I'm like, "How's the work culture? What were the vibes that you were getting?" It's one thing to go to an organization, but it's also key that you're going to an organization that's enabling, that is diverse, that is not going to be belittling you or not proud of their biases, and carry on with so much, joy. So work cultures are really also key, but these sort of conversation take us 10 steps back, or this sort of utterances in the workplace take us 10 steps back. Women are trying so hard to, build their confidence, work on themselves, be better, and sitting across and hearing that can be so deflating, but we do what we must.
If we should start that conversation, it would turn into an entire rant because a lot of things there don't make sense.
Yep.
I mean, logically, if you want to analyze it and take it to even the marriage point of view, if you're saying a woman does not need much money, do you want a woman who is a liability, who doesn't bring
Exactly.
much? She went to school for how many years to study? She
Yep.
got a lot of knowledge. Yeah, what she's what? Why? She needs money for a lot of things, including supporting her family. And even if she's single, she has bills, she has responsibilities.
Mhm.
Why she's going through all of that. So single women need money. I need money.
Here, here.
And I think the last one will be something I didn't even think about at all. Where she said using your nickname when people the name for you, that somehow just, compresses what you are.
That is a bit nuanced. It depends on the society that you are in. In Nigeria, for instance, a lot of people, it's not, so a nickname and a pet name is different, right? I could go by Ify, and Ify could be, I don't go by Ify, I prefer Ifunanya for the record. But I could go by Ify because I personally like it. But it's not Ify baby or something, or something really, really pet namey. A nickname could be something that you have shortened yourself and it still sounds professional. It's like you are Oluwaseun, but you could say, you know what, I want to be Shehu. Does that tend to be problematic in workplace? I don't think so. It depends on if somebody were to add Ify baby to it, and I say, oh, I walk into a room, I say, yeah, Ify baby's in the room. No, do not do that. But if a short form of your name is something you go by, that is your preferred name, that can be okay. So yeah, so part of the book you might need to put it in right context as based on the environment you're in, and just identify, oh, is this a social thing, or is this, yeah, is this nuance in how my own environment is set up? So you need to be able to recognize the difference. So yeah.
Yeah. Also, I think in addition to that, will be you spotting any sign of what's the word I'm looking for now? When somebody is using such to try to undermine your work or your aim,
100%.
you might want to check that so that
Like 100%. Yeah. If like I said, I go by Ifna and someone thinks saying, no, if you, just say it in a way that maybe I'm contributing to or describing, oh, I've done this for, oh yes, if that's, we expect this from you or something. It's also the tone. You need to be able to spot out the tone, the underlining, ways that those little things are said. So oh yeah, this, you quickly correct them. No, my name is Ifunanya, and I only go by Ifunanya. Thank you very much. So yeah, so it's recognizing how it applies to your personal circumstance and situation.
thank you. Now we have unfortunately come to the end of this conversation. But if there were some final words that you would have for any lady listening who's trying to move up and do better for herself, what would that be?
Nice girls do not get the corner office, 100%. And it's deeper than just being nice, as we've spent the last couple of minutes talking about. It's confidence and recognizing your value and being your biggest advocate, and um, not being the mother figure in the office space. The book also talks about you always being the one to bring snacks or to take notes or to make coffee, just recognizing that I'm not in the office to be anyone's sister, mommy. I am a value adding member of society, of the workplace. I bring my own diversity, I bring my own difference. I have a voice, I'm going to use it. I'm not going to be afraid, as scary as it is to wear my big girl pants and show up in the office, and doubting yourself, all that happens, that's normal. But what do you do with that doubt? How do you fuel it to be able to build the career that you want? Advocating yourself, negotiating your salary, negotiating the things that you really want, being strategic in the workplace. Office politics is office politics for a reason. Thinking that, oh no, if I just do the work, I will be recognized for it. No, you need to be able to be strategic and build, the right alliance and allegiance and advocate for you. Networking as well with your colleagues and bringing that whole bit together. And the last thing is also building a personal brand. How do I want to be perceived? How do other people look at me? And if someone were to describe me, how would they put it? Is it things that I'm really proud of? And how do I build that to be able to be better, as I go on? And finding people who have um, values as you, and looking out for people who could mentor you and coach you and help you through the journey of navigating the workspace.
Very important. Thank you so much for your time and all the wealth of experience and knowledge you've shared today. We really appreciate it. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. You're welcome. I've had an amazing time. And yes, I hope the listeners have been able to glean in and learn a thing or two. And I hope this was really helpful for someone.
Yep, I believe it was. Oh, by the way, your handle on social media, in case somebody's trying to connect with you.
Oh, yes. So you can find me mostly on Twitter where I'm either sharing something that I've learned along the way. So it's at the Ifunanya. On Instagram, I'm probably sharing my travel and just the soft girl life. So it's the same handle at the Ifunanya. On LinkedIn, it's Ifunanya Moneke. And yeah, those are the three platforms that I'm most engaging on. So yes, please follow and yeah, reach out.
Thank you. All right. And if you're just joining, you have missed out on the entire conversation. You can catch up with the replay on YouTube at Smooth 91 FM Lagos. Again, at Smooth 91 FM Lagos. Next week on Soul Sisters, we'll be back with another conversation on the woman, for the women, by the women, and the brothers are welcome to be in the back seat. My name is Oluwaseun. Soon enough, I'll be playing you African music on the Casbah from 12 p.m. till 4 p.m., making sure that you stay good and dry out there while it's pouring heavily on the streets of Lagos. You take care of yourself, and bye for now.
Is it? This is a woman.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
The world's
I did as well. I should do this more often.
Just starting being less sleep for you.
Yep. So yeah, picking struggles, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Have a lovely morning.
You too. Let me quickly do a selfie if I can.
Hi, my name is Ayo, and you are listening to Smooth 98.1.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.